there isn't a whole lot going on. We know it. That's one of the reasons why we're taking a break. But there's still something every day. Something. And yesterday, Dan Patrick Show, which follows us here on Peacock, they had a little 12 minutes or so with hashtag Tommy, Tom Brady. And Brady was asked by Dan the moment that the light went on that caused him to decide to end his 40-day retirement. Here's Tom Brady on that topic.
Give me the day, the moment when you say to Giselle, I'm going back.
I think mostly when I kind of told the team, look, like, you guys got to make plans without me, and then, Jason and Bruce said, just give it time, and I said, look, I feel pretty strongly, and then, time went by and then you just get super competitive, and I think I'm part crazy. I mean, I think that's the reality. I mean, 45 years old and I'm out here with a lot of young guys that are trying to take my head off. And I see Aaron Donald work out on my Instagram. I'm like, damn, maybe I should have retired, because he's a beast. But, I had the appetite to compete, and it's going to be gone soon. I mean, there's no doubt about it. And I got to, just really appreciate what the time I have left, because it's not a lot.
It's funny. He calls himself 45, and I know he will be 45 when the 2022 season begins, but he's not 45 yet. Tom, one of the things you got to learn about getting older, do not surrender territory to Father Time. You're still 44, and I know it makes for a better story, and you round up, and it's 45, and, why not just say you're 50? But trust me, you don't want to start yielding. You don't want to start rounding up. Be 44 until 12:01 a.m. local time on August 3 of 2022 when you become 45. Actually, stretch it all the way to your birth moment if you want. That may be an even better strategy, especially if it's later in the day. You get to be 44 even longer. I was surprised that he was so candid about his appetite to compete.
Yeah.
It's not going to be here much longer. How does he know that as long as he has an appetite to compete? Like, when I have an appetite for pizza, I don't say it's going to be gone soon unless I know there's a big-ass pizza waiting for me to eat the whole thing.
Yeah.
How does he know his appetite's going to be gone? It's not gone yet. Why would he assume it's just going to evaporate in a year or two?
I mean, I don't know. Again, I think what we see here a little bit, and just going from experiences of people I've known throughout my life who have kind of been in these situations where it comes to the end of the career, I think it seems like this was probably the first offseason he had to go, wait, do I really want to do this again? Do I really want to go through it? Let me retire and step away for a minute or reassess, even though I don't think he really was retiring in my heart of hearts. I think he was making a play to go to Miami. That was the real thing. But maybe it's the first few off seasons he's at least questioned it a little bit. Do I really want to go all in? And I think that's when guys start to see the finish line, because that's when it's time to go. When you got one foot out the door, 1 foot in the door at certain points of the calendar year, and you're just going, man, I'm not sure if I really want to go through all this. Obviously, he came to the point of, I want to come to and do this and compete and do all that. But I think he's probably having the realization that there has been some questions in his brain maybe over the last year or two, and that probably has not, filtered into his brain very much throughout his career. That's for sure.
I think a big part of it, too, he now knows what he's going to be doing when he decides to stop playing.
Yeah,
and
sure.
He is going to occupy a position of prominence, a significant position of prominence as the number one analyst for Fox. The biggest game of the week, every week on Fox. 4:25 p.m. Eastern kickoff every other week with a gigantic audience. Between 25 and 30 million is what they draw for those late afternoon games if it's a compelling game. Again, people aren't tuning in just to listen to Tom Brady or Tony Romo or whoever. They're tuning in because it's a great game and it's broadcast to 95% of the country. And there's that one little pocket that gets Cardinals-Jaguars, and like, why the hell do we not get to see the great game? But everybody else gets to see the great game. No offense to the Cardinals and the Jaguars. They're just two teams that came to mind that I probably wouldn't want to watch if there was a great game otherwise on. But he'll be there. He'll still be in the spotlight. He'll be there for 10 years at least. He'll be there as long as he wants to do it. He can do it for 30 more years. He can do it until he's 75. He can do it until he's 80 if he wants to. So he's got a plan B that is almost a plan 1B. I mean, it's almost as good as plan 1A, which is keep playing. The only drawback to that, Chris, comes from something he said last December, an interview that he did with John Wertheim of Sports Illustrated. He said, I imagine not playing, and I imagine watching football games on Sundays going, these guys suck. I could do way better than that. And then knowing in my heart, I could still actually do it. If I stopped, I'd have to find something else that I'm pretty good at. So he's finding something that maybe he'll be good at, maybe he won't. It's one of the great mysteries of his broadcasting career that is yet to be determined. But it's not like he can just shut down the TV. It's not like he can avoid any torment from thinking, why the hell did I decide to stop playing? Look at this schmuck that's out here playing quarterback.
Yeah.
And it'll be funny if some of that bubbles up, if we get some of that frustration from him in year one. If he does think, what the hell did I do? Well, look at this crap. Look at this. These guys suck. I could still do way better than that. He's not going to be able to run and hide from it. So I think it staves off the ending of the appetite even longer. I don't think he wants to be in a position where he's forced every week to see guys who can't play the way that he still can right now.
Well, I think you're not going to avoid that feeling altogether no matter what. He's not. Even no matter what, that first year he's out of football, he's going to look at it and he's going to look at 10, 15, 18 quarterbacks and go, damn, I'm better than them. I know that for sure. I mean, for 100%. But I think where, again, I think where he's talking about a little bit, and he used the word crazy and calling himself crazy, and he is. I mean, he's the craziest of the crazy. There's no doubt about that. He has immersed himself and lived the game really like no other that we've seen really in the history of football. He has. And the way he's taken care of his body and done all of that. And I got to imagine that has to all be exhausting too. I know my career was nothing, and I played 8 years, but I can say that when I did get done, if there was one thing that I was like, oh, this is nice that I'm not playing, because there wasn't much nice about not playing. I was heartbroken, as I've told you before. I cried on a lot of Sundays and said things like you're saying that Tom Brady would say, going, I can't believe this guy's playing. I'm better than him. I was doing that too. But the one thing I was a little relieved with was the fact of, oh, man, okay, I don't have to worry about getting up and let me see how I'm going to attack the day with my workout and my diet and just worry about all the little things that go into a day-by-day basis. Let me go throw just a few balls to work on this mechanical thing. That, I imagine, can get exhausting in itself. That's the competitive part, I think, that wears a guy like Brady out. It's not playing on Sundays. That's fun. It's probably easy for him. It's all the stuff that goes into making the donuts and making them good, I think, that probably exhausts you, and that's what takes you away from competing and doing that.
Still got to be hard, especially that first year.
I
it's got to be very hard.
Totally.
And think about it. Think about it. The hardest part for him is probably going to be not being in the booth watching the game. It's going to be walking around on the field during the warm-ups,
sure,
seeing people going through their routines, and he's there suit and tie, wishing that he had the football in his hands, wishing that he was getting ready to play, missing that feeling that's never coming back again. That's the thing. Once you stop, it's never coming back unless you do take a year off and then decide to come back. Or at some point near the end of your year, somebody gets injured, the planets line up just right, and you come out of retirement to help some team. I can't rule that out with this guy. I wasn't ready to rule it out with Brett Favre, and now that he's on the Brett Favre career path where he's already retired and unretired once, faster than Brett Favre ever unretired, you can't rule out not just another, I'm done, okay, maybe I'm not, but also one of those Roger Clemens. Remember how Clemens, late in his career, would just show up in July or August or thereabouts and not do a full season? You can't rule that out. You cannot rule that out. He's still going to have time to stay in shape. He's still going to have time to be thinking and preparing, and he's going to be around the game, and the opportunity arises. And what's Fox going to say to him? No, we can't let you do that. They'd love that. They'd love that. You just tap Greg Olson on the shoulder and say, come back to the number one team for the rest of the year, and we're going to move everybody up, and off we go. I don't think Fox would bat an eye at that. if he wanted to press pause on his broadcasting career. And my guess is the guy is sufficiently strategic and detailed that he's probably asked them, hypothetically, what if my first year on the job, there's an opportunity and I just can't take not playing anymore? Well, fine, Tom. I mean, the best time to ask for that is when you're negotiating the deal. I bet he brought it up, and I bet they said we'll be fine with that. I mean, they're fine with him waiting until whenever he feels like it to start.
Seems like he can do whatever he wants, right? It doesn't matter. I don't like doubt that some of those feelings will happen. I don't know. I feel like when he does call it quits, it's going to be quits. Whenever that does happen, and I expect it to happen
like this year.
Well, Mike, come on.
I mean,
but we know he didn't call it quits.
I know.
We know he didn't. Come on. He wasn't calling anything quits. He was trying to get on another team with Sean Payton and move his whole family down there and act like it was a retirement. We know that's where, it's a little weird that we talk about this retirement thing. It's like, hey, how was the 40-day retirement that wasn't really a retirement and you were planning something else? But we got to ask you about the retirement. So that's what's weird about the conversation in general. But I hear you, Mike. I'm sure he's going to have those thoughts and some of those, feelings pulling him that way. The only thing I just feel like with Brady, where I don't see him being like a middle of the year, end of the year, let me go on, because I just feel like he respects the process too much to where he knows like that's going to be too hard, and trying to learn the offense and get on the same page and do all those things. Point. That would be the only thing I would throw it in there. Not to say you're wrong.
It would have to be a situation where
it's all comfortable and it's
like it would have to be the Raiders with Josh McDaniels.
Exactly.
It would have to be something where he could walk right through the door and it would be much more easily transition.
Right. That's my only thought there. But again, it is going to be interesting. And the Brady, the way he works and attacks things, I wouldn't be shocked if he gets into the Fox gig and gets immersed in it and really is like, wow, this is kind of cool preparing for two teams every week and getting to view it from this, standpoint and talking to these teams and doing that. I think he's going to be very good at that job. I really do. And I think he's continuing to show us his personality, and he's shown us a little bit of not afraid to say things a little bit, making fun of Josh Allen a little bit. He's made a few other things here as of late. What did he send out this weekend? The picture of the Peyton Manning forehead. So maybe he's going to be willing a little bit to be a little more risque with his words than we think.
There's a fine line between being funny
I thought
and
that
just
was
being
funny.
A jerk.
It was a jerk, but it was pretty funny, too.
The stuff with Josh Allen, the constant fat jokes for a guy who isn't fat.
I know.
There's a point where you just got to let that go.
Yeah.
That didn't make any sense, and it eventually comes off as mean-spirited. He's got to find the right balance.
Yeah.
Because that guy that's always on someone, that picks someone out in the group and decides, I'm going to ride this guy all day. At some point, you cross the line into being a dick.
Yeah,
you do.
Sure.
You just do.
Sure.
And he's got to be careful about that, and I doubt that he'll do that. I mean, this guy's always very careful. He says he doesn't say what he believes 90% of the time because he doesn't want that conflict in his life. Well, get ready for some conflict in your life if you're going to be. And I want, look, hey, maybe he's the robot that the guy at Google was talking about, that the robots become sentient. I mean, he has gone from full-blown cyborg to this guy who's testing out his personality in all these different environments, in large part because he's making money from it. I mean, let's be realistic about it. Every one of these cool uncle videos that you see on social media is chased immediately by go buy Tom Brady brand stuff.
Sure.
So there's a huckster element to this fact that Pinocchio is indeed trying to come off as a real boy. So let's be honest about this. There is a profit motive to this guy who I think is trying to win the race, to have enough money to eventually buy a team. I think he eventually wants to buy a team and not just be figurehead minority owner like he would have been in Miami. I think he wants to be 30% in my name. I run the show. This is my thing. Because that's the only way he's ever going to replace that competitive element that has fueled him for all these years.
Yeah, no, I hear you there. I don't doubt that that's on the radar too. I mean, I think he can, I don't know his cash situation. We know he's got a lot of it. His wife's got a lot of it. I would think that, he knows a lot of big power players in the world that he could be involved in some sort of ownership group and put up whatever stake or percent he can put up to get to where you're talking about. I hear you. There's a great, competitive part, even for somebody like me, where I go, man, it'd be great to get back in and, evaluate a team and do all that stuff. I mean, I'm sure that'll be there. But I also think that the emotions of calling a game and doing that on a Fox Sunday, I think those are pretty damn good too. I do. I think that's one. Just speaking to my dad all those years, yeah, it's not playing quarterback for the Giants, but I think the intensity of the situation, the adrenaline you get a little bit, you're in the stadium with the crowd. It's one of the closest things you're going to get to playing quarterback and having that feeling replaced a little bit, to where I could see him really enjoying the job and liking that aspect.
But there's no wins and losses.
There's no wins and losses. No.
Other than the ratings, and the ratings aren't there because of you. They're there because of the teams involved, plain and simple.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.